What a lovely day to cross the street.
Most people didn't agree with my objections to the video. This channel has long been a commentary, reaction type production. But I've always wanted to make more YouTube essayist type videos, musing about story choices in the series, the interesting history and facts about subjects I find interesting myself, and the weird leaps of logic from fellow AnyTubers. I've started writing and gathering footage for a dozen videos, but I haven't finished any of them. I never was happy with what I made. I've already have a complete recording of a previous version of what I'm going to talk about. This is a tangent to say, making things is hard. Hard enough without somebody placing arbitrary restrictions of what can and can't be used. In the previous video I said what I didn't like about terrible writing's isekai video. It showed no care for the subject, confusing general anime tropes for isekai specific ones, and constantly berating a straw man of that trope. The repeated defense of this is that it's supposed to be giving bad writing advice, and that it is only talking about bad stories. Both defenses are lacking. Firstly, his generalization of tropes leaves no distinction between a good use or a bad use of a trope. Ignoring that this is a general anime trope, the tsundere character archetype that he is referring in his little quips is shown to be a bad trope without explaining why it's bad. A tsundere is a bad character trope. That's the end of the discussion. It also goes for characters not setting out to defeat a great evil, starting overpowered, or defeating the great evil in a way other than fighting. None of these make for bad story elements. It is even proven to make for good stories. To use an example of a accepted good story, Frodo's journey in Lord of the Rings to destroy the One Ring is more an inner struggle for him. As such, Sauron is defeated by friendship and a self-destructing greed, and not by physical power and sword. But anyway, let's then remove the irony of the video and avoid doing anything the video recommends. It doesn't work. Writing a story in the way the video wants me to is a painful experience. Arbitrarily saying the main character can't be reincarnated after an accident. Not having recognizable character types. Not having the main character be morally dubious. Not having the character take his time. Not having a romantic plot or having the character succeed. After all, that's just the love triangle and power fantasy tropes again. With the irony removed, the only thing he wants from an isekai story is a main character negotiating alliances with kings and lords. Yeah, that exists. Gate, Slime, Overlord, Outbreak Company, Eve Sun, Shield Hero, Log Horizon, Drifters. If anything, this is also a overdone isekai trope. But his video is only about bad stories. I remember, but that isn't true. His videos refer to Shield Hero, Konosuba, Slime, I'm a Spider, Overlord, and others in small and bigger ways. He takes their main defining element and presents it as being a bad trope. He isn't using examples from the bland and forgettable isekai, because he hasn't been exposed to any isekai other than the popular, generally accepted good isekai. There are bad isekai out there, but the bad isekai isn't the inspiration for the video he made. This lack of reading, not being familiar with isekai other than the main popular ones, has forced him to construct the reasons why the tropes they use are bad. All tropes contained in them, the ones that exist in all stories, the ones that exist in anime, and the ones that are used in isekai stories. But there is a no true Scotsman element about this point. After all, if a story with tropes he marked as bad is still good, then were the tropes a problem to begin with? It says something that his ironic criticisms of isekai are identical to unironic criticisms elsewhere. I know, he is just joking. But in a sense, I don't believe that. The video makes a non-existent monstrosity out of isekai, to then defeat it with irony and derision. The advice he gives to avoid the pitfalls of the implied bad isekai stories is completely unusable. It's a video where he rants about things he doesn't like in the genre that he doesn't even seem to read. I've said a lot of words on the two defenses of the video. How being deliberately bad advice and only being about bad stories doesn't work. I'll summarize it here at the end. Firstly, the advice he gives is not bad, it's useless. Even more so when removing the irony, and stories following advice would not be better because they avoided his personal dislikes. Secondly, he takes a good isekai and then portrays it as a bad isekai, by taking a trope that it used and malforming it into something that everybody agrees is bad. That's not making fun of a bad isekai, but misrepresenting a good isekai. But even then, criticism by trope doesn't work because a trope doesn't make a story good or bad. It's been agreed that there are good isekai stories out there that uses many of these tropes. But a story that has avoided these tropes is not good because it didn't use them. A story is good or bad independent of the tropes that it uses. Well, that was the video. I'm recording this little bit way after I've edited it all together. Still don't like how my voice sounds in the recordings. I guess I'll get used to it someday. It was fun reading all the comments that believed that I didn't know it was fake. There was a time that I didn't realize it. But even then, my criticisms of the video doesn't change whether or not it is a joke or not. And I hope you understand why now. Leave a comment if you still believe otherwise. And I linked my previous version in the description. Have a listen to it, see which version you like better. Goodbye.